We have returned. JMC Live. I'm Jeremy. This is Miranda. We are covering about good grief. Good grief, Charlie Brown. Here's another example of grief, and I will replay what we've covered so far. Number one, these are myths of how to deal with grief that we have been taught since children. And some of you will probably disagree with me, but that's fine. Number one, don't feel bad. Number two, replace the loss. Number three, just grieve alone. Number four, just give it time. Number five, be strong for others. And there's even more, and we're going to cover one here. No matter how busy I stay, at the end of the day, there's still a hole in my heart. I've been told by so many people that, you know, when they have death or whatever, they're like, well, if I could just avoid it, if I can just work more, if I can do my chores more, I'll play video games more, I'll do music more, I'll just do more of something else. Meaning, keep busy. You know, earlier we defined grief as the conflicting feelings caused by the end or of a change in a familiar pattern of behavior. It is very difficult to adapt to life after a loss. If you weren't a busy person before loss, keeping busy would add another major change to the familiar. The most dangerous flaw of trying to keep busy is it's supposed to try to make you feel better, but busyness is actually just a distraction. It's an avoidance of going through times of loss. You know, I don't understand. I've kept busy, but I feel worse, not better. You know, let me review those 6 again for you. Don't feel bad. Replace the loss. Grieve alone. Just give it time. Be strong for others. Keep busy. None of these ideas will lead us to proper actions of discovering and completing unfinished emotions that accrue in all relationships. Because that's the whole thing. This is about relationships. This is about your emotional state. And you have to participate in your own personal grieving process, your own recovery. And everybody, I would have to say right now, in the beginning of 2010, if they aren't without work, and they know someone who's out with work, if they didn't have someone die last year, they might have someone die this year. Everybody has something they're probably grieving about. It could be a loss of a job, it could be a loss of a friend, it could be a loss of a car, a house. And this goes for everything. You know, if you were taught that, you know, your influence amongst your beliefs about dealing with sad, painful, and negative feelings is something you're never supposed to do. That's the problem. You know, to overcome hurts and anger, you have to find freedom from negative emotions. But at the same point, when you're grieving, these on the top cover mask look like they're negative emotions. People don't want to cry. People don't want to sit here and say, I miss somebody. I want to do I don't know how I'm going to live without them. Guess what? It's okay to say these things. It's okay to feel this way. Now, I understand some people will say, well, I'm driving a ship and I don't need to cry because I'm going to crash into the port. I understand there are times when you might not be able to break down and cry because there's no one to give you a break. Like when you're driving and flying and things like that. But you need to find you a sanctuary, which could be your bathroom, your shower, your office. You need to be able to cry. You need to be able to grieve. Writing a journal helps. You can check the time. And the next thing that happens, even though I would tell him it wasn't my fault, he didn't believe me and would punish me anyway. It seemed very unfair to me, and my faith in him was diminished. You know, with these things, these thoughts of not feeling bad can lead to a loss of trust. You know, this can happen with different things. You know, a good example is like an alcoholic father who seems to just, you know, do all these things crazy and treat you bad. But that seems to lead you into a whole realm that is negative and it's bad, and it can just take you out. To make a habit, you have to practice that over 100 times. And when you're grieving, you have to retrain yourself to do some of your basic skills of life. And that's normal. You know, it's normal to not know what to say, to not know what to do. You know, there's some sights, there's some sounds, there's some, you know, smells, there's all sorts of different things that happens, you know. And your faith and your feelings are two distinct things. Sometimes you might be shattered spiritually. But regardless of the nature of your loss, your faith is technically and honestly is undamaged. It is you going through, as it says in Ecclesiastes, there's a time for life, there's a time for fighting, there's a time for screaming, I can't take it anymore, and there's a time for death. There's a time to be rich, there's a time to be poor. There's a time for all these things. And it says in the New Testament, you can be angry and sad and not sin. Get angry. I can't take it anymore. I miss him and I don't know what I'm going to do. Guess what? That's okay. Because that's what Jesus is for. Jesus is there so you can grab a hold of him and cry and tell him what's going on and show him the direction and move you to the next place that you want to be. I mean, you know, all relationships have positive and negative interactions. We know that you can complete grief only by being totally honest with yourself and others. That's what you must do. That is the direction that you must take. That is how you're going to have to get to the next place. We're going to take a break, and we're going to transition to even more.